So lately, the internet's been obsessed with this story about a piece of lost media called Everyone Knows That. It's this song that couldn't be identified until recently, and it took like 2.5 years to figure out where it came from. There's a lot to it since the search did go on for so long, but if you're out of the loop, let me help you out. On October 7th, 2021, a man from Spain with the username Carl92 posted on the website, "What's That Song?" What's That Song is a website you go to when you're wondering what's that song, and then the users will help you identify it. And Carl92 posted a 17-second audio clip that he said he came across while he was just going through some old files of his. The post was simply titled Pop English because it was a pop-sounding song that was in English. Carl said that the file was dated 1999, and while it did sound familiar to him, he had no recollection of where it came from. He hypothesized that it was an artifact from the early days of him just learning to capture audio. Here's the clip he uploaded. So it has this 80s, synth pop sound to it. Now, right away on the What's That Song forum, people are asking Carl92 if he can provide a longer clip, but he says that what he uploaded is all he has. So one of the first strategies when you're trying to identify a song is to, of course, Google some of the lyrics. Now, this was a pretty low quality recording, so there was a bit of debate about the specifics of some of the lyrics, but there were at least a few lines that most people could agree upon. For example, the line, "Everyone knows that you've got ulterior motives,"
Everyone knows that you've got ulterior motives,
and "Caught up in a world of lies."
caught up in the world of lies.
But searching for the lyrics doesn't yield any results. Carl92 says he's from Spain, so some users suggest that maybe it was a song from a local band that was just aired on a local radio station. Other users start theorizing that maybe the song is from a commercial because it has a poppy, kind of commercial-friendly quality to it. Plus, that would explain the clip's short length, because if the song was from an ad, well then maybe that 17-second clip is all of the song that ever existed. And then, some frickin' audio nerds get involved. I don't know why I'm being mean to the audio nerds. They were very helpful. They analyzed the audio file and identify that it has a 15.734 kilohertz pilot tone. And pilot tones are like inaudible codes that are embedded into audio in order to give displays like TVs information about how they should be displaying the video that is associated with that audio. So basically that tone is associated with a specific video playback standard, and different countries throughout the world use different standards. So that means a couple things. One, it means that we can rule out the recording coming from a cassette because the tone would only be found on audio coming from a color television or like a specific type of computer. And it also brings into question the country of origin because Spain uses the PAL standard, P-A-L, which doesn't use this tone. This tone is for the NTSC standard, which is what's used in North America. Now, obviously, Carl92 could have been somewhere else besides Spain when he recorded this audio, or he could have just been using a piece of hardware that came from a different country. But still, this inconsistency, combined with just how difficult this song is proving to find, starts to make people question if Carl92 is actually a little scamp. Perhaps even a little prankster, doing a silly little goof. And this is exacerbated by what Carl92 does next. He basically says, dang guys. Yeah, looks like we're not gonna find it. No, I don't think we're gonna find it. Also, I don't care. Peace. Disappears, stops responding. And this distrust sticks around for the entire rest of the search. It's known within the community as hoax theory, which is basically just the theory that Carl92, he's a little stinker and he made the song himself. But hoax theory isn't the only theory, and people do not give up. And as people get more and more into it, the mystery starts breaking out of this niche little lost media space. And in June of 2023, almost 2 years after Carl92's initial post, a subreddit dedicated to the search is founded, r/Everyone Knows That. And this is when things get serious. See, What's That Song is a pretty old website that doesn't seem to have gotten a whole lot of updates over the years, so it's a pretty terrible place to hold an organized investigation. There's not really any threading, there's no voting system, everything's really disorganized and hard to keep track of. And side note, the site is also pretty insecure. It was hacked multiple times when the Everyone Knows That thing started to get popular. They made it look like Carl92 himself suggested that the song was by Josh Hutcherson, and someone made the post redirect to a picture of a cat licking the camera, which honestly was kind of an upgrade. But anyways, now that the conversation was happening over on Reddit, things started to get more organized and pick up more steam. And now, theories are popping up left and right. One user found a print ad from an 80s magazine for a clothing brand called Ulterior Motives, and they theorized that the song could have been from a TV ad spot for that brand. The print ad has a P.O. box address on it, so another user looks it up and finds a record store that's been there since the 80s. They reach out via email, but ultimately, it doesn't lead anywhere. Back over on What's That Song, a user by the name of Michael92 posts this audio. And this sends the community into a frenzy. We did it, Reddit. Commercial theory confirmed. It's from a Japanese commercial, but it was debunked within a couple of hours as a hoax. Now, by this time, the 17-second audio clip has been re-uploaded to YouTube many times over. If you've ever seen this purple boombox image and wondered what the connection was to Everyone Knows That, that's just the image that was used to accompany the audio in one of the first YouTube uploads of the song. Anyways, over on YouTube, somebody, and look, I know this might be hard to believe, but I swear it's true. Somebody wrote out a very well thought out and useful YouTube comment. This commenter theorized that because the song in the original audio sounded a little bit out of tune, that it was actually being played back at the wrong sample rate. Basically, it was being played a little too fast. So they slow it down to the point that everything is on pitch, and hearing it that way, they're able to pick up two distinct vocalists. One bright, timbre, breathy male vocalist, and one female soprano. So they start looking for bands that meet that criteria, someone with those types of singers who made 80s new wave and synth pop music with similar sounds and instruments, and they settle on a particular band called Roxette. So a screenshot of this YouTube comment gets posted over on the subreddit, and then a Reddit user surfaces this song by Roxette called Good Karma. I can't play too much of it for copyright reasons, but hopefully you heard enough to know that it has a very similar melody and sound to Everyone Knows That. So this is a really solid lead, but it's still a different song. Another Reddit user posts an interview with a member of Roxette where they're talking about Good Karma. And in that interview, he mentions that they were originally approached by a production duo known as Attaboy and Cliff with a demo. And that demo is what eventually evolved into Good Karma. So that must be it. Everyone Knows That is probably that demo. Except Good Karma was released in 2016. The file date on the Everyone Knows That recording is 1999, and that's just when Carl92 recorded it. The song itself is almost certainly from the 80s. So did Attaboy vs. Cliff sit on the demo for that long? Well, Attaboy vs. Cliff consists of two people who were born in 1979 and 1981. So unless they were some super radical demo writing babies, the timeline just doesn't add up. The Roxette lead is a dead end. Another theory is that the song came from an adult film. This might explain why Carl92 provided so little information and disappeared. Maybe he knew that this came from an adult film and he was worried that people might figure out soon that he was searching for a goon tune. Now, fully produced songs with lyrics and everything are not particularly common in adult films anymore, I've heard, according to my text-based research. But it was common in the 80s. So then in a Lost Media Facebook group, a user claimed that they knew the song and it was in fact from an adult film. And then in a YouTube comment from that same person, they said that specifically the song was called Desire from the production company VTO Pictures. And they further claimed that they had access to the full song, but suspiciously they did not post that anywhere. They do, however, post a screenshot of a private video of what is supposedly the song, and the image that is tied to the video is of this album, Songs for Teresa, The Fire Inside. So people listen to that full soundtrack, nothing. Everyone knows that isn't on there. Then someone reaches out to an archivist who has all of the music made for VTO pictures, and they respond saying that everyone knows that is definitely not one of the productions done for VTO, and quote, "The guy from the Spanish Facebook group is obviously trolling." Damn, man, you didn't have to say it like that. So that lead, again, turned out to be a hoax, but ultimately, the music that was found while following that lead did have a very similar vibe to EKT, everyone knows that. So adult film theory sticks around as a possibility to consider. And this has to be the most contentious theory yet. Some people think it's worth digging into, while others are making posts saying porn theory is stupid and we shouldn't be focusing on porn theory. Some people even seem to feel personally attacked by the idea, saying things like, "I am in love with the song and I'm obsessed with it. So when people say those kinds of things about it, it makes me feel possessive about it almost. It makes me feel angry and annoyed." Some of the skepticism around the theory stems from the username Carl92. Quote, "So you're telling me little Carl92 at the age of 7 was watching porn on the TV and was like, 'Damn, this shit's funky. Why bust a nut when I can bust a move?' I just can't believe it." Of course, putting 92 at the end of your username doesn't necessarily mean that you were born in 1992, but in any case, there's no evidence that the song came from an adult film, so the theory gets shelved. So while Reddit is now the main hub for EKT investigators, they need all the help they can get. So users will sometimes go out and make posts on more obscure websites to see if they can garner up any leads. So somebody makes a post on this website forum, I think it's supposed to be pronounced Disc OGs, and they get a promising reply. The user says that they recognize the song and they think they heard it on the radio. They live in the Canadian province of Newfoundland and Labrador, and they think that specifically they heard the song on K-Rock 97.5 or Coast 101.1. And they add that this kind of 80s and early 90s music is extremely popular and common to play on the radio on the East Coast. And they add that they think it could be a Christian or religious song from that time period. So yeah, porn theory's out, Christian song theory is in. Now Reddit gets pretty excited about this theory, and some other users from Newfoundland and other places in Canada also chime in to say that the song sounds familiar to them as well. Somebody even manages to get K-Rock 97.5 to do a segment on air about the song.
But a gentleman actually wrote me, I think you guys know him. He said that this song is on the internet and no one can figure out who sings it or who plays it or anything about it. But he thinks it's a Newfoundland band, so have a quick listen to this. I don't know what it is. It sounds like it's from the 80s. Open your ear holes. Now, I got the full version on our social media.
It's kind of annoying that they cut down the already extremely short clip to drive people out to their social media, but hey, it's still pretty cool. Now, through following this rabbit hole, EKT investigators found a user by the name of Carl1992 on a Canadian local musician's website. And this Carl1992 user has both Newfoundland and Spain listed as their locations. And they describe themselves as a great bass player who typically does classic rock / country / rock music. And they also play drums, accordion, and guitar, and describe themselves as a sound technician as well. People theorize that Carl1992 and Carl92 are one and the same, and since Carl1992 is talking about how he's a musician, people think that Carl92 made the song himself. So Newfoundland theory just kind of ends up merging back into hoax theory. In November of 2023, a YouTuber by the name of Camspiracy uploads a video hypothesizing that the lead singer on Everyone Knows That is Darren Hayes, the lead singer of Savage Garden.
Cherry Cola.
The voice does sound similar, and while they were coming up, the members of Savage Garden were sending around a ton of demos to producers, a lot of which are now considered lost media. And the community is a little skeptical about this one at first, but they're also desperate for any lead they can get, and after some further analysis, it starts to seem more and more likely. Like, listen to this comparison between Everyone Knows That and an early Savage Garden demo.
You're drowning your machines in the sky, caught up in the world of life. Gotta take it for a world where we belong. So won't you be my baby?
Same picture? Another thing that makes people consider this lead is apparently Darren Hayes says the phrase ulterior motives a lot in interviews and stuff. I don't know. I didn't want to dig through a bunch of Savage Garden interviews to verify that. But then, as EKT warriors are shouting at Darren Hayes through the internet trying to make him aware of this search, Darren Hayes goes and does something wild and he puts out this tweet that simply says, "Everyone knows that." And nobody knows what to do with this. He won't reply to anyone in the comments or elaborate any further. The most he's willing to do is correct somebody's grammatical error. So like, is he confirming he's the singer? Is he just trolling? Like, what is this? What is this, Darren? Eventually, he just deletes the tweet. Probably got spooked by the community. Honestly, I don't blame him. But he ran. That's all we got, and the lead is assumed to be another dead end. In an effort to try and figure out who wrote this song, many EKT detectives combed through publishing databases to see who held rights to songs with titles that sounded like they could be EKT. And one such detective was Reddit user OneTruth5867, one of the moderators of the r/everyone-knows-that subreddit. OneTruth was watching a video on YouTube of a scene from an adult film from the 80s. For research purposes, of course, and they heard a song that sounded very similar to EKT. Then they noticed that in the video description, the music was credited to Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. And OneTruth had seen these names before while digging through old song registries. They had held the rights to a song called Ulterior Motives. And so, there was only one thing to do. In order to fulfill their duty to the community, OneTruth had no other choice but to dive headfirst into a marathon vintage goon sesh. So OneTruth compiles a list of every adult film that Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth are credited on, and they start skimming through porno after porno after porno, finding more and more similar sounding songs, but still no EKT. And after 12 painstaking hours of straight goonage, OneTruth, feeling raw and drained, shares his lead publicly to try and recruit some help. Reddit user South Pole Ball steps up to the plate and they start double teaming the task. They'd skim through a film, message the other person, nope, wasn't in that one, check it off the list. Check the next film, nope, wasn't in that one, check it off the list. Until eventually, they find it. The song is from the 1986 adult film, Angels of Passion. Porn theory confirmed! Suspiciously, the 17-second stretch of song that Carl92 initially uploaded was the longest stretch of song in the film that was not contaminated by moaning noises. You were withholding some information, aren't you, Carl? Now, after the song was found, of course, tons of people are flooding Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. I mean, at this point, the subreddit has over 50,000 followers. And the Booths, who are identical twin brothers, had no idea that this search was even going on. They hadn't thought about the song in many years, but they seem like super nice guys and they're really excited about the whole thing. On his Instagram, Christopher St. Booth posted this video that contained the lyric sheet for Everyone Knows That, which we now know to be titled Ulterior Motives. He posted a video of the lyric sheet in a studio, followed by the text, "Coming soon," implying that they're working on a new studio recording of the song. And if we pause on this close-up of the lyric sheet, we can see that devastatingly, the lyric that the whole movement was named after, Everyone Knows That, it's actually Everyone Knows It. In an interview that they did with Rolling Stone, the Booths said that the song wasn't written specifically for Angels of Passion. They were just working musicians and they wrote it to be a pop song. But to make some extra money, they got a job through a friend doing craft services and some basic grip work for adult films. And when the producers approached them to see if they'd be willing to sell, license out some of their music to be used in the films, they took the offer since it was pretty good money and they needed it. In the interview, they also confirmed that after digging through 40 years of tapes, they can't find the original master of Ulterior Motives, and they do intend to re-record it. The whole interview is pretty interesting. I'll put a link to it in the description if you're interested, but for now, that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Bye!